Hi, this is Dave from Gnomes, etc. I got a question for you. I just wondered if anybody believed everything they saw on the internet. This happened probably about 6 months ago. My wife was looking on to see her family tree, and she wanted to know if I wanted to partake in it, and I guess there was some type of a fee or a prescription or something to join to see. And like I told her, I says, I already know who my brothers and sisters and mother, father, grandfather. Oh, that's right, I don't have a sister. Maybe I ought to have the family tree on the internet. But how are they going to know who's in your family tree? So, like I said, had my grandparents. I knew all the cousins and nephews and nieces and so on and so forth. And I says, I'm not interested in doing this. And she kind of says, oh, you being German, she says, you guys don't have much of a personality or whatever, no fun at all. So she was laughing away while I was watching some TV. So the subject kind of dropped. About a month later, she says, guess what, I did find your great-great-grandparents. And I says, what? I says, my grandparents have been dead for quite a while. And she says, no, I found them in Australia, down under. They must have been down under enough where they were preserved. But yeah, she said she found them and they're going to come into town and visit. So I thought, yeah, that's kind of a joke. So about a month left. And I says, well, when are they going to show up? And she says, you're not going to believe this, but they're on a month-long cruise. And I says, a month-long cruise? Where are they coming? By boat or raft? And so luxury liner or whatever. So a couple of weeks went by. And I says, hey, where's these supposedly grandparents that I got? Great-great-grandparents or whatever. And she says, they're stuck in California. They didn't make the customs. And I says, California. Wasn't there probably over there dreaming? Isn't there a song California Dreaming or whatever? So they were in customs over there for quite a while. So a few weeks went by. I says, hey, where's my grandparents supposedly that you found? And she says, oh, they're in Texas. I says, Texas? Why are they in Texas? And I knew I had cousins and stuff in the Houston, Texas area. And I says, well, maybe they're visiting there. And she says, no. They're not in Houston. I says, well, I know people from Garland. And she says, Garland, that sounds familiar. And she says, I think that's where they're at. And I says, oh, shoot. I says, it kind of started to worry me because being 6 months ago, it was wintertime, and we were kind of looking for movies at the theater to look at. And the kid says, there's a great movie called Zombieland. And I says, oh, okay. I says, I'll go and rent this movie. It was only 50 cents at the Family Video, so I bring it home. And it was one of those movies that you either had to drink a heck of a lot of beer, and since it takes about 3 or 4 hours for me to consume a beer, that wasn't going to work to help me live this movie, so I fell asleep. Well, the gist of the movie is people from Garland were trying to make it to Ohio, and they had to get through all these zombies on the way. So I says, then it kind of worried me, what is actually going to come to the airport when it was time for them to, because the people in Garland, they shipped them right off to Ohio. So the day I went to pick them up, I was kind of anxious, kind of excited. So I go up in the upper concourse, I think it was concourse 13 or whatever. So I'm sitting there waiting for them, and I'm looking out the window, and I see, and this story leads into another story. I had to go and find some props for this. So I went to a grocery store to get these funny little hats. You'll see when we get into this, but they were like $3.37 a piece, and I had to get up, and I only need one of each color. So I figured, well, what the heck, this is going to be close to $7. I kind of circled the city looking for something about 50 cents cheaper. So in the end result, I ended up, after 5 stores, going back where I first got, and after the, buying these and the $10 worth of gas, each cup that I just needed was probably about 17 bucks. But anyways, back to the story here. You'll see my props in a minute. I'm looking out the window, looking at the airplanes coming. Funny thing was, there's these 2 funny people walking down the runway. As the planes went over, these guys were going the other way. Had these funny hats. One was blue, one was red. and they were like in unison. They were going up and down like this, down the runway, and then all of a sudden a plane went by, and all of a sudden it was just like a circular garbage dump or whatever, garbage container. In a windstorm, they tend to roll this way, roll. Then all of a sudden they got up and they're going down the runway, up and down, up and down. All of a sudden another plane came. It was the funniest thing you ever saw. Every time the plane went over them, they kind of tumbled over and rolled like a garbage can. Well, this happened about 3 or 4 times. Then all of a sudden the airport security or police came, just like a movie. They all converged on them, and they made like an octagon. And these poor guys, I think one was a female, one was a male, they were trapped inside this octagon from these cars with the flashing lights put on. So all of a sudden you see all this ruckus going on, and hats were flying all around. Finally they throw these 2 characters in the car and they go off. So I'm waiting in the upper concourse, and like I said, I think it was 13. I don't know if that's good luck or bad luck or what have you. So while I'm waiting there, nothing was going on. I was reading the paper and I kind of dozed off. Woke up in a couple minutes, or maybe a half an hour, kind of started. Everybody was gone. Not a person around, except for maybe the airplane pilot, a couple of the stewardess. So I'm wondering, where the heck is my great-grandparents? Well, I looked, get up, and I look across the whole entire concourse, and lo and behold, in the distance I see these little points, a blue one and a red one. They're going up and down, up and down. I says, hey, this is going to get great, because now I'm going to see who's the unlucky family that had these people, or whoever, whatever these people were. So I knew I had a little bit of time left, so I sat back down. I'm looking at the paper, sort of reading it, not paying attention. So you know how you ever look and you think somebody's staring a hole in you? I'm like this, and I move the thing, and here's these 2 little people. They're looking at me, and then they look at the concourse sign where it's 13. They look at me, so I'm thinking, well, nothing's gonna happen. They're probably just looking at me, just not knowing whatever they're looking at. So I go back to the paper again, and I sort of look over, and they're still looking at me again. Put the paper down, and just like you go to, say you go to a resort out of country or whatever, you're looking for your connection, and they usually put your surname up and stuff. And the one guy, he kind of looked at the 2 people who are supposedly going to be my grandparents or whatever. All of a sudden the dreaded sign goes up, Bauer. So cripe, they're looking for me. So I'm putting that sign up, and I'm trying to cover myself. Maybe they'll go away. I'm trying to think, is there a place for me to hide? I'm looking for some oversized people. I didn't want to say obese or fat, but I'm looking to get out or hide or get away from these. Well, there was no way to get away. So I'm looking, and I finally go up to them. Didn't say a darn thing to me. Didn't say a word. The lady was like this, smiling. Never changed her expression, just a smile. My grandfather, he just sort of stared just like a typical German, just no smile, no nothing. So I go up there and meet him, and we're going across the concourse, trying to go across, and all of a sudden all these people, they're staring, they're laughing, they're smiling, what have you. So went to the car, brought him home. I figured we're not going to get too many pictures later on, so we did have a Kodak camera, so I figured, well, you know what, with a Kodak, maybe we can go ahead and have a Kodak moment and have a family reunion. Well, I called my parents up, or family members on each side, and of course they didn't want to partake in our family union. They thought it was kind of hokey. So I want you to meet my grandparents here. It's my grandfather, my grandmother. So I got one of my kids here. They are going to take some family pictures, so just bear with me as we do this. Can't believe I'm doing this, but go ahead, you can start snapping the pictures with our Kodak for our moment. So Smile. Okay. Remember this when you always took family pictures and somebody put the peace sign up? But anyways, how many pictures we got? Should have about 6, 7. No, we ran out of batteries, so it figures. But anyways, we got this nice little video here. And you know what, looking at these two guys, there's no way they're related to me, no matter what the family tree on any internet site says. So, being smart like I thought I was, I'm going to go ahead and send a DNA sample in. Well, it came back and said that these guys here are kind of petrified. They couldn't get a sample, so I had to come up with another way to prove that are we family or are we not family. So anyways, I came up with a design this test. It's the emptiness test. It's sort of a way to test the air between one point to another point, and the different sounds would tell you how close you were related. So we're going to try this test. I would say these two are related. There's no way, and there is quite a bit of emptiness here, so I don't think there's anybody home here. I'm sorry, it's kind of empty. I don't think Grandpa's home either. There is somebody home here. There's something going on in here. We don't know what's going on. So the conclusion is, I guess we can say that these guys are gnomes. They're not going to be related to me. I have them on my website, and of course you guys probably want to know the dimensions, because you look on a website, you think, oh geez, those are small little things, but when they get to be this size, they're no longer dimensions, they're measurements. So how many of you guys, when you're going out on your first date, guys, you go up and you want to find everything you want on your girlfriend, you ask her, you're not going to ask her dimensions, you're going to ask her, what are your measurements? Same way with a girl. You're going out with a guy for the first time. You want to get to know him. You're not going to ask him what's your dimension. You're going to ask him what his measurement is, right? And come to think of it, when I was younger, I don't think we did it that way. So I think we'd probably get slapped or anything. So we're going to take these dimensions here, measurements I should say. So going straight up here, believe it or not, she's about 48 inches high. And this guy here, great-grandpa, whatever, he's every bit, he's about 49 inches long. You're thinking, I think the reason why they had such big hats back then, I think they're pygmies, little people. So his hat's about 21 inches. Hers about 22 inches. And being measurements and stuff, I know you guys are probably interested in her measurements, and I think I watch way too much 2.5 Men. But anyways, I was told by a girlfriend, you don't go by the upper measurements, you go by the cup size, and these sort of look like cantaloupe cups, so we'll call them cantaloupe cups. So that's about all I can tell you about the measurements, not dimensions. And just to let you know, you guys, you don't want to go around asking a girl on a first date what her measurements are. It probably won't go very well. So my supervisor just looked at me and says, that's enough screwing around, David. It's time to go back to work. So here you go. Life-size gnomes. Pretty cool. I would put these guys in the backyard, front yard. They might come up missing. But that's it for today.